Hello, I'm Nicola Harker. I'm a doctor and a women's empowerment specialist. And today's video is about microaggression in the workplace and how to handle it. Now, when I'm talking about the workplace, this could be in employed work, or it could be that you're self-employed, you're an entrepreneur, and you're dealing with other people around you, other entrepreneurs, or you perhaps have taken on staff to help you with your ventures and you're managing staff around you. So microaggression in the workplace can really occur anywhere and it can be really difficult to deal with. So I just wanted to make a short video about my 3-step rule for managing microaggression in the workplace. And I would really love to hear your experiences and your thoughts about how you deal with microaggression in the workplace and how it perhaps has impacted you, because it can be really tricky. So what do I mean by microaggression? What we're talking about here is those little tiny remarks that if they're just taken on their own seem really insignificant, but they can become a problem if it's an ongoing relationship and there's a perpetual background of tiny remarks, comments, facial expressions, things like that. And they can often take the form of racially motivated comments, misogynistic comments, dismissive comments, so perhaps just undermining what someone is trying to say or do. And they're extremely difficult to tackle because you notice them, but you know that if you say something there and then, you can easily be perceived as overreacting because they're tiny, but it's the additive effect of microaggression that makes them a real problem. And I'm making this little video because I quite often hear that with my clients, that these challenges just cause quite a lot of energy draining, quite a lot of trying to navigate these difficult relationships. And they can also lead to you feeling really deflated in yourself. It can really undermine your confidence. So my 3-step rule is, oh, I've got a little buzzy fly just coming to attack me. My 3-step rule is calm, compassion, and curiosity. So calm, by that what I mean is that generally when we receive microaggressive comments, they kind of sting. They cause an emotional reaction inside of us. And the difficulty with tackling a microaggression when you're feeling like that is that your internal state has gone into fight, flight, or possibly shame. And that's more likely to lead to you having an emotional response, and not particularly objective response if you try and tackle the situation at the time. So I would always recommend taking several breaths, or even waiting and considering how you might tackle the situation when you're feeling a little bit calmer. It's not always easy to feel calm in a difficult situation. So just I use the breath a lot in my life just to help myself. If I notice something has really stung, it's really got under my skin, it's really hooked me, that actually just using my breath is a really helpful way to just steady my emotional state and to calm down any stress hormone response that I might be having. So just taking a breath and really allowing yourself to exhale consciously and just allowing your system to settle. And there are techniques that you can use, the breathing techniques that that firefighters use, for example, or square breathing you might have come across. You can actually use to just calm your heart rate, bring your blood pressure down, steady your thoughts, is a really helpful way to just deal with stress in those kind of situations. So that's calm. The second is compassion. And I think compassion is really important here, because what we don't notice is when this kind of comments get under our skin, how quickly we can go from feeling irritated with the other person to thoughts that are, there's something wrong with me. Why did they make that comment to me? Why do I attract that kind of comment? It can be very undermining. And it's really important to actually just notice this is what it feels like to be on the receiving end of microaggressive comments, and it's really unpleasant. And to offer yourself some compassion for that, to try to help yourself not go into a reactive state, which is saying, oh my goodness, everybody's horrible, or there must be something wrong with me. And instead, just reminding yourself, actually, that stung, ouch, that was painful. And to just be kind to yourself in that moment or during that day when you've been on the receiving end of a microaggressive comment. So self-compassion is something I talk about a lot. It's a really useful tool for navigating difficult emotions, and this is how I use it. You know, it's just to remind myself, ouch, that was painful, that hurt, so therefore I'm going to need some nurturing on the inside. Whether it's just taking a breath, giving myself a moment, or reminding myself, okay, this is what it feels like to be in a tough situation. And just being kind to myself with my internal voice, not immediately heading into self-criticism. So there's calm, there's compassion, and then the final step is curiosity. Now, when we are triggered by somebody's comment, and we either go into a sort of stress response, fight, flight, we can easily find ourselves wanting to criticize or blame that other person. Or we go into shame, where we feel like we must be flawed in some way. And again, that can result in us being less than objective in our assessment of the situation. But if you can use calm and compassion and then bring yourself to a place of curiosity, there is always something that you can find out about a person who is behaving with microaggression in the workplace. So for example, does that person perceive some kind of an injustice? Maybe they haven't had all of the information, and that is leading to them to be behaving in this way towards you. So is there some piece of information that other person needs that would allow them to relax and to behave better? So in other words, we don't have to assume that someone who shows microaggression is by their nature an aggressive person, is by their nature out to get you. You can get curious and think, well, you know, I wonder what's leading to that behaviour. So it might be about information. It might also be about insecurity on their part, that they are subconsciously needing to knock you down a peg or two because they themselves are feeling inadequate. And all of us feel inadequate at times, let's be honest. So this is not about judging them, but it's about understanding and recognising that sometimes when people are feeling out of their depth, feeling less than, feeling not quite up to the task, they themselves can go into this kind of fight or flight state where they want to lash out. And microaggression can come from underlying feelings of not being happy or feeling inadequate or uncomfortable in a situation, resulting in these little kind of lashing out type behaviours. So it's worth getting curious about what's going on for that other person, and actually is there something that I could do to help, or could I get them some help with whatever it is that they're experiencing. And of course we don't know what's going on in each other's minds, but we can be a little bit curious and we can use our imagination to think, actually, how might things be for that other person? You know, if I were to walk in their shoes, what might I be feeling that might be leading to me to behave in that way? So those are my top tips: calm, compassion, and curiosity for dealing with microaggression in the workplace. So do comment below, let me know how you've got on with these situations, and you may have some top tips of your own that you'd like to share as well. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.